Here.
Howard,
Here.
Showalter,
Present.
Meyer,
Here.
Thompson.
Here. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Welcome, everybody, on this nice damp evening we have today. It's a nice change, right? Starting first tonight, we're going to have a public hearing regarding the structure at 122 West 14th. And we shall open this hearing right at 5:01 p.m. I don't know, Kent, if you want to start off. Or...
Resolution 1617 set this hearing date for the property at 122 West 14th. Set it for this meeting. There has been some additional information, but Zach will review that information.
So the property owner came in and spoke with me. Good night, everyone. How is everyone?
Good. Good evening.
He came in and spoke with me, and he does have a game plan of actually doing something with the property. He was supposed to be joining us on a Zoom meeting, present with us, but doesn't look like he is there. No? So he will be here shortly to kind of talk things over with you. Wants to hopefully at least push it out to March to have a detailed blueprint as to what will be done with it, and then have it completed by the summer of 2024.
Is this Ed that is joining us?
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me? Ed, are you there? Hello?
It's he speaking.
If you are speaking to us, we cannot hear you. I guess while we're trying to figure that out, so this is the apartment building over on Center and 14.
Correct.
And this is a facility where we've been trying for quite some time to make contact and wasn't getting anywhere. And then he finally made contact and said he's going to get some work done. Nothing really ever happened. Now he's come back and he said that he has had somebody actually look at it and say it's structurally sound and that he will have a plan and get it taken care of by the middle of next year.
They did go and board up the windows and secure the doors to at least keep people from getting into it, which was nice. And
Yep, I drove by and looked at that. That's good. Do we know how long he has owned this property?
at least 3 years. I'm not sure exactly how long. I do have the title report, but I forgot to bring it in here, so it's in my office. I could give an exact date on it when it was signed over.
The tax sale of 2020.
Yes, that sounds right.
When it was purchased. And as far as the information that you had found that showed that taxes have not been paid since,
Correct.
property taxes, do you know, is he caught up on those, or as far as you know,
He hasn't
still
said.
been paid?
So yeah, a structural engineer come and check out the building and said that it was good to go. It just was in a dilapidated state. Was that the quote that was in the letter that he provided?
Correct.
Did he have an actual report that he provided for that, or was just that was his word?
His word.
Are you there yet? I guess, as my thoughts are, I'm glad that he is finally started making contact, or at least has said that he is willing to do something. But up to this point, where we've got to the point where we're threatening to tear it down, there hasn't been any contact, and there hasn't been any work or anything done at the place in the last 3 years. He has said that he has had somebody look at it, but we were taking him at his word. We don't have anything showing that. We do have proof, at least that we did come by and board up the windows. And like I said, trimmed up the trees a little bit. So something has been done. I really wish we could have talked with him to hear a little more on his side. It just feels like that's not. No.
We just make a phone call.
In my opinion, we do need to have a strict deadline for things, just to ensure it does get taken care of.
Good evening, Mr. Banda.
How are you, Bill?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Sorry, I can't hear you. You guys, for some reason the mic is not working. My phone.
Yeah.
I can hear you, good.
That's okay. We got through here.
Okay.
So I guess tell me a little about the property and what's gone on with it since you've taken ownership of it and where we are now, if you would please.
I acquired the property in 2020, and what I do is basically I property in Baltimore for River America, and I finished in Section 8. Everything is based on government program in Italy. And the gentleman, the building inspector, who's that, contacted my office and let me know that there was some safety hazard concern about the building. I hired a gentleman out of Brooklyn, and I paid him every month to go there, how they drive, make sure everything is in order. But in fact, before when I found the property, when I went over there, I made sure the concrete was secure and everything. For some reasons, other people broke in and everything. I didn't know anything about it until I received that letter brought it to my attention. I contacted Zach, told them that I have a gentleman in town who's supposed to be taking care of it. I thought he took care of it until I was informed that when I came back, I received another letter from Zach from your office. At that point, that's when I flew in with my team, and we went up there, inspected what was doing. Basically, people breaking and were basically using the property for whatever reason. So I had such an engineer with me look at it. The building, the structure is still good. At that point, I have my crew, they cut off the grass, order everything up so the safety hazard is no longer an issue. And I sent an email to Zach and to him that I had to go back to the architect, have a full plan, because I wanted to turn it into 3 unit apartment. And I had to coordinate that with the other project already I had in place. So I told Zach that I'm going to be aggressive with that plan, so you should have a full blueprint detail by March. And once everything is go through him, we're going to go through the city. By the time we pull out the permit and get in touch with the construction company I have a construction company in Cincinnati, get them over the local guys in the city, coordinate everything. Most likely we're going to start a building project in the summer. So that's what I explained to Zach. And that's my intention. That's where we are right now.
Okay. Very good. Anybody have any questions for Mr. Banda?
Mr. Bandit, is your engineer, is he prepared to provide any written documentation for his inspection?
I can ask him to get one to me ASAP, and I can forward it to you. I can forward it to Zach, and I can forward to your committee.
Okay, yep, that would be great, thank you.
No problem.
Anybody else have any questions?
Why is it taking so long to get your blueprints in March? Why can't we see them sooner?
Because I do a lot of projects for rural America. Everything is up to the federal government. The federal government approves you, say, hey, once you're done with this property or whatever you do in this city, we're going to grant you a Section 8. That's when I jump on the project. I just don't go start working on things because I know the day the contract, I do my work with the partners in the bank. Banks give me the money, I do the project. Once the project is done, I don't want to be out here looking up for tenants to come to my building. So the only thing I do is I go through the government program so I can take vouchers from any tenant in your city who can pay their rent directly. So with the government assistance, once the government approves the project, that's when I jump on it.
Okay,
That's why. Or when that explain that to me, say, hey, there's a concern, there's a safety hazard concern and everything. I'm like, well, I have to put that in front of me and jump on it because I do any other project.
well,
Like I have projects in 5 different states right now.
what if they don't approve this grant money that you're gonna get to do the project? What's your second
I don't
avenue
get
to?
information from the government. I need the government to approve that if I finish the project, they will give the opportunities to tenants to give them a voucher so they can pay their rent. I don't ask the government for any money. I use my own money through my relationship with banks. Banks the one who are giving the loan and I do the project. So I don't wait for it. I don't get a grant from the government.
Okay. Any other questions?
I guess I want to know why is it taking so long for you to just have interest in the property? Like you've owned it for 3 years, but now that once we started sending letters and things like that, now you're interested in it. I just find that kind of interesting.
Could you hear that okay?
Well, yeah, I hear that. When I
Okay.
get a property, I work with the government to say how soon they're gonna turn around and approve my plan. Such as if I get it done, if I get it soon, how soon when people come to you say, hey, they need government assistance, how soon you guys can set me up so they can start, you can give them a voucher and then they can pay their rent every month. That's how it works. Because you don't wanna basically build the whole thing up, put it out, say, well, the goods is available, people can afford it because they don't have money like that. So you have to go basically do the legwork and say, hey, the urban development, I have this property in this town, I want you to put in your register so I can tell the tenants in this city, say, hey, if you want to live here, just contact the government program here, they will give you a voucher. So basically I take that voucher and that's what allows me to be in business. Otherwise, if you build it and it's still nothing there, people can afford it or they know about the voucher program, basically it's screwed. And then I'm going to have a problem with the bank. And I can't afford that. So everything relies on the government, what the federal government want to do, how soon they want to move. That's when you tackle on it.
So just so we're all clear, Section 8 housing, that's low-income housing, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Were you aware that the city and the county went together on a housing study last year and reviewed what the housing needs in this community were?
I wasn't aware of it until they brought it to my assistant brought it to my attention. We have a conversation about it. But what I do is I go to the federal level. There's all kind of program that state of Kansas have in place right now. But the bottom line is it's looking good, and now I'm confident that once we bring the project, it won't have a problem with that because the state of Kansas alone has multiple programs through different agencies, and I have to defend it.
So you had a chance to review that housing study then?
Yes,
Okay, so you're aware that it didn't indicate that we needed more low-income housing?
that's correct. Because at this point, I gotta do something because, like you said, most people, I don't know if your community is aware of what is going on, but at this point, I want to move forward because usually when I buy the property, I make sure everything is on point before I start the construction. In your city, basically in your city right now, people don't know that, but I have to do something so I can make it happen. And on top of that, I'm going to tackle a project in Denver as well. So when my crew comes to Denver, I want to move some of them to finish this project, and I can afford to do that at this point.
Sure, and we're not trying to stifle any kind of economic development. I think the concern as elected officials we have is we have a building that's dilapidated within our community, has been that way for 3 years now. It's next to a city park where kids play. It's on a thoroughfare where people who visit our community come to. It doesn't look good. We have constituents that call us and say, you guys need to do something about that building. So now we're in this position that we have to have a public hearing to talk to you, who really hasn't shown us any activity in the last 3 years to make a change, to talk to you about potentially, tearing your building down. So, either way that this goes, we want to see some kind of action taken on this property. We're frustrated, and our constituents are frustrated.
With all due respect, if I'm not serious about it, once I know how serious the whole thing is affluent. Like I said, I pay somebody in your city to take care of it, and it's not your fault if you didn't do his job. That's my job to make sure that he's doing what he was telling me he's doing. But at the same time, I came there, they had an issue in the community, I took care of it. I took care of that, so it can be any issue or it can be a situation where somebody can hurt or anything like that. And I understand the community, I understand you guys elected officials role. And I'm doing everything I can now, like I said. They have the plan ready, send you guys all information, and either it works or not, by summertime, the building will be under construction, and that's it. And that's the risk I'm willing to take to show you guys a good faith, say, hey, that's why I came to town, make sure that my crew brought up everything, power the grass, make sure it doesn't become a hazard nuisance in your community. I already did that. That shows a good faith on my part. Also for that, in March, I'm going to send you a blueprint, so you have that blueprint, you know, okay, he's doing something about it.
Any other questions? Okay, well, I thank you for joining us this evening. This has been a good discussion. I think we've got a pretty clear idea of where you're coming from and what your own expectations for the property are and what kind of a timeline you're looking at for the property. We will take that into consideration with any kind of decisions that we decide to make. At the public hearing time right now, there won't be any decisions made right this moment. But anything that we further discuss, I'm sure will be passed on to you. Do you have any other questions for me?
No problem. Thank you for allowing me to speak at your hearing. I really appreciate it. You guys have a wonderful evening.
Yep, you too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Anybody else have anything else to say regarding this property that runs here? All right, well, let's close this hearing at 5:18 p.m. Okay, let's move on to public comment. Everybody signed up tonight. Great. Come on up. We like it when you come by.
So we don't have a lot to report tonight, so after that, we're going to give you the last updated financials I had. So this last 4 years was focused on the budget. We presented a draft budget to the office board. So that's what we have for that. Go on to the grand reviews and the comments. We can take one of that. And we'll have the final budget next season. That was 20%. Probably won't be here.
Fair enough.
Anyway, just to kind of give you a rundown, we're looking at a significant increase in state revenues over the next year. Our budget for 23 was $39 million, and our actual for the year to date and the flat rate for the last 3 months is going to be about $39.8 million, and we're looking for the next budget of that's a challenge, of course. We're just looking at the expenses, the total bottom line is not that high, we've got really revenue. we will have, after all the adjustments and everything, and, the total operating revenue for the year is projected to be like 2.5 million. On the expense side, we have, tried to keep things as flat as possible, except for some of the big areas, the full salaries, budgeted, 7.8, 2,203, taxes will be like 7.9 this year. And we recognize that that's the whole group of things we take this year. We have that level of rate. And probably most important is completed hiring a human resource director. So Dan Salas is new to the community, and he is going to be taking on that. He has taken on that position. He's doing this just a couple of weeks now. So
Very nice.
first 2 weeks, he's already got 3 or 4 people hired. So we'll go through. His background is heavy in recruiting, healthcare recruiting. So like that. I broke the last one.
It's true. You didn't even have to touch that one.
I learned my lesson, Aaron, because the last time I touched it, it did fall apart. Anyway, so we're looking at, with the total salary and benefits, everything, about 2.2 million for the next coming year. So that's going to push a little bit. Total expenses, let me see, get to that page. We're looking at 23 budget was 20 million, 23 actual is 20.4, and we're looking for about 23.7 for the budget of 2024. And that will then, with the other income items, will bring us down to a total bottom line projected of 1.59 million. That's the actual net income we're looking for the hospital for 2024. And you wonder, what do we do with that money? I do have a capital equipment budget. And we're looking at projecting spending on new equipment and other items that we need. Capital budget is about $1 million for next year. So see, if we are able to hit budget of 1.5 and we spend $1 million, still a little bit of a cushion of about $500,000. So we did have significantly higher numbers this year in 2023, and most of that was due to we had a very large receivable from Medicare, which means they had underpaid us for the whole prior year. They made it up this year. And
How
so-
nice of them.
What's that?
Said, how nice of them.
Yeah, yeah. You can go out and spend all the money first, and then we'll put it back. But we really we got a number from there, about 1.2 million, and an additional 300,000 from Medicaid. So that's about 1.5 million, which is pretty much the difference between what our actual is for this year and then our budget for next year. So that's the biggest number. So that's really a really quick rundown, but big item again are total revenue going up, salaries are going up, which is our biggest part of our expense. I think I've shared that with you before. About 52% of our total expenses is salaries and revenue. So got to take care of the people so we can continue to take care of the community.
And
Any
sounds like you
questions
guys are doing a
anybody
very
might
good
have?
job of that.
What's that?
Sounds like you guys are doing a very good job of that lately.
I think
of focusing
the
on
team has
people.
done fantastically well. So I know Doc's part of my my leadership team, and I think he would back me up on that. We have a really good, dedicated staff, and the nurses have worked hard for several years being understaffed, and that's another one of our big expense items next year. We're still looking at almost $1.5 million of contract labor in 2024. I would certainly love to have that be income staying right here in our community, with get some people hired, staff, and save that pretty significant expense. So, anything else anybody has? Okay.
As always,
All right.
appreciate you coming and updating.
No problem. Since I won't see you probably till the new year, happy Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas, the whole bit.
Yeah,
See you.
same to you.
All right,
Thank you.
thanks.
Thanks, Gary.
All right, is anybody else signed up? Nope. Okay. Let's move on to the consent agenda then. We have A, the 11/6/23 commission meeting minutes, and B, the appropriation ordinances 2023-22, 2023-22A, and 2023-P22. Any questions, comments, or concerns on those tonight?
I'll move to approve the consent agenda, items A and B.
Have a motion by Commissioner Redlin,
Second.
second by Commissioner Myers. Any other further discussion? Roll, please.
Howard,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Redlin,
Yes.
Showalter.
Yes.
Okay, we'll move on to presentations and proclamations. And we have a presentation tonight where we have won a grant award for the playground shade from Sherman County Community Foundation.
This is fun stuff. You guys like that?
Heck yeah.
Hey, I'm Ron Schilling. I've never met you, Mr. Brown. And I know everybody here. I don't know you either.
Ann Myers. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I hope you all watched the football game Saturday. It was really, really good.
Right, we did.
Yes.
So one more, come on up. And that's Stephanie. Anybody else? That's it. So, you know, I'm gonna have them all introduce themselves.
Yeah, if you would just up to the microphone real quick.
I saw her there.
Shy.
I did not see you. I was there. Were you? Brian? Yeah. It's good.
Okay. Hi, I am Stephanie Kling. I am the director of the Sherman County Community Foundation. I'm starting my third year with the foundation. And tonight we're here to present a check to the city of Goodland for a Stever Park shade structure. A community member came to me in July, Paige Ely, and asked if we could do anything about this idea. And I said, maybe you should reach out to the city because you guys have more resources. And I said, but remember us, write a grant, and maybe we can help out. So it was great that we could connect you guys with her, and now I'm excited to see this project kind of get started.
Yes.
So the rest of our board, who else are here? Go ahead.
I'm Melanie Days. I am the treasurer of our foundation for this year, so excited to be able to share some of our grant money with a project that I think is going to be real beneficial for the residents of our community.
And I'm Jessica Cole. We'll see y'all at match day.
Yeah, I wanted to tell you, I drive in from the east, and where you guys decorated the dog park, it's really, really cool. You got that all lit up. It looks really nice when you come in from the east side of town.
Good job, Danny.
So we're gonna give you guys a check. We wanna give you a check, and we wanna remind you about Match Day, the Tuesday after Thanksgiving. Projects that will benefit Sherman County, and you can also help with the foundation as we're gonna grow that. Every dollar you donate to the foundation this year, we can turn it into $3. So it's kind of a cool deal. So we want to invite everybody to come to the foundation, pick out a project that you guys want to do, and work it that way. These smiling faces will be there. And so we'll see you at the library next Tuesday.
Well, thank you for all the work you guys do. We appreciate it.
It's a fun job. We're going to give money away. So
Yeah.
Best job.
it's the best job.
So everybody knows us for Match Day, but I'm really going to push our Shares Month this year. And our goal, like he said, our goal is to raise $70,000 for our endowment fund, because all that money that will go back into Sherman County. So with that, we have matching funds from the Dane G. Hansen Foundation, and the Patterson Family Foundation has started doing some matching grants too. So if we raise, when we raise $70,000, the Patterson Family Foundation will match that $70,000. And then the Dane G. Hansen Foundation will match $50,000, and then an additional $50,000. So we will potentially be bringing in $240,000 to our small town out here in Sherman County. So we're really excited, but that is what December is for our community foundation this year.
All right.
The whole month of
Right.
December. Yeah. Yes, December. Match Day is really for our 25 projects, and our endowment fund is our really big push this year.
Which day is Match Day? Yeah, I don't know if you've said
Giving
that.
Tuesday, November 28th,
Okay.
next Tuesday.
All right. Well,
Thank you.
shall we all go take a picture?
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I
Okay,
know.
go ahead, let's go.
Be sure to make sure she knows. Yeah, absolutely. All right, we'll just, we'll go out of here.
Does Aaron accept the money or does accept the money?
Yeah, I guess, she gave the check.
They just take these checks through the drive-through, or how do you? Who's taking the picture?
There we go.
It's not gonna give you.
Looks really nice.
No, I think that's the one that.
All those guys over there?
That's his thing.
It's go out and CCF.
Mhm.
Okay, that'd be great, and then I'll add it for us then.
I think that's a reusable one.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, where'd the check go?
That just means we can run our own numbers on
There we go, yeah.
Right?
We get that back?
Right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, well, that's exciting. Let's move on, though, to ordinances and resolutions, starting with ordinance 1768 regarding amendments to Chapter 9 and the zoning regulation definitions. Zach, welcome back.
So about a month and a half, 2 months ago, we had someone apply for a variance for a trailer camp, and while reviewing that, we found that in the zoning regulations, there was an RV camp that didn't meet the same stipulations as the trailer camp. So to make them all match and make it easier to enforce the rules, I went through and changed the language and made them the same thing as an RV park. There's a lot of language that just got changed, and I provided a little bullet list there of what got changed out of each section. First page does chapter 9, the second page does chapter 19.201 and 19.502. We went over it with the planning commission. They wanted me to add into the electrical requirements a 20, 30, 50 outlet instead of just the 50, since not all campers go with 50. The smaller units only require the 20 or the 30s. And then also providing protection and then getting backed into as a requirement.
Everybody read through all that, right?
It was.
It was a lot there.
What?
It was a lot. I mean, it was a lot of very, repetitive definition reading.
Yes.
The other thing, I did find one thing, I just wasn't, probably need to clear up. There was, as far as the number of RV vehicles allowed, in one section it says 11, and then the other one it says 10.
Which section was that?
So it's under section 9-113 under service buildings. Under there is where it says, each RV park served and intending to serve camping spaces and or 11 or more recreational vehicles shall be provided with one or more service building. So it has to do with how many vehicles are needed before they are required to put up the extra building with the bathroom. So of that section, it has 11, and then it was, I marked it on here.
It should be 10 for both. I might have
Yeah.
missed.
So it was down in, 19-1502 in that section under service buildings, it has 10. So 10 is the number we were wanting there.
You mean 502 or 15? You said 15.
It was 19-502.
It should be 10 for both of those.
Okay. Now the only thing I found, everything else, good.
It's
Looked like a lot of definitions.
Everything looks the same after
Yeah.
going through that much.
Way to fight through it. Yeah. Anybody else have any questions or concerns regarding the changes proposed here? In that case, I would make a motion to, can I do make a motion to approve it with the amended changes? So, motion to approve ordinance 1768 with the amended sentence under section 9-113 to reflect 10 and not 11 recreational vehicles.
And I'll second that.
Have a second by Commissioner Howard. Any other further discussion? Roll, please.
Showalter,
Yes.
Redlin,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes. Okay, next up, we have Resolution 1618, which is regarding the stop sign at Main and 11th.
Members of the commission, this is a resolution as a result of discussion at a couple different meetings regarding the results of the traffic engineering study downtown regarding the stoplights at both 11th and Main and 12th and Main. This resolution that's presented before you is just regarding the 11th and Main intersection. It will basically, and it says in the resolution that we did have stoplights installed. We had requested a traffic engineering assistance program study for that intersection. It was prepared, and their base recommendation was that the existing traffic signal control should be removed in accordance with the procedures outlined in section 48.02 of the Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices. And a two-way stop control should be implemented. So stop signs on 11th Street. And then whereas pursuant to the standard traffic ordinance, which we normally adopt every year and published thereof, we'll say that we'll have these different things involved with it. So at the southwest quadrant of 11th and Main and also the northeast quadrant. So any questions? The one other thing that Kenton pointed out was that the bricks are set up as a stop line on the north and southbound. Those would have to be removed or changed out so that they're different color, obviously. So,
Like legally, they need to be changed out?
yeah.
Yep.
And then Dustin had pointed out previously that in order to remove the stoplights, it's really just removing the cross arm. And then removing, obviously, like the wires and stuff feeding into that. But the remainder of the street light will remain at the intersection.
All right, anybody have any questions, concerns?
I'll move to approve resolution 1618.
Have a motion by Commissioner Redlin,
Second that.
a second by Commissioner Showalter. Any other further discussion? Roll, please.
Meyer,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Redlin,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Showalter.
Yes.
Okay, let's move on to formal actions, starting with a request to purchase the playground shade, which we just so happen to have gotten a nice grant for.
Now we've received the money, although it's not in the bank yet. Request an authorization to purchase the actual shade structure. The shade structure invoice is included in your agenda packet. This is from the same company that provided our shade structures at the Stever Water Park. And they've obviously held up well. So that was the reason that was included in the grant application when we started this whole process. And the company that eventually, when the invoice comes through on your accounts payable, will be All Inclusive Rec, which is the vendor assigned for the Kansas territory for USA Shade. So instead of including both invoices, we just included the one from the manufacturer here.
So just for clarification of the financials, so the total amount on the quote is $27,123.68. Our grant was for $15,000, which isn't quite all of it. It's a little over half, but there's still $12,000 and some change there, and that will be coming out of the Special Parks Fund.
And I did have one correction from Mary. We are gonna take 10,000 out of special parks, and then the remainder, $2,123.68 will be from the SURF, the Capital Improvement Reserve Fund.
Okay.
We'll take care of the remaining pennies of to purchase the shade.
I don't know, I for one am excited to see it put up and just see how it functions. The larger shade over the large playground equipment, and I hope it's something that works fantastic, and it's something that maybe we can look into at other areas in town as well. But get this one up and see how it does.
Definitely want to commend Paige for her work on that. That was, we got to take the check and get the picture, but she's the one that, came up with the idea and did the work for that, so.
Yeah. It also just goes to point out that everybody out there in the community, if you have ideas that you think are worthwhile, sometimes it is worth your time to bring it to the city, because things do get done around here.
Well, I would make a motion to purchase the playground shade structure using the grant amount of $15,000. The rest from Special Parks Fund and the remaining $2,000 from the SURF.
I'll second.
That would be for a total of $27,123.68, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We have a motion by Commissioner Showalter and a second by Commissioner Redland. Any other further discussion? Roll, please.
Thompson,
Yes.
Redland,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Showalter,
Yes.
Meyer.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, on B, we have a request for plan approval to set up the nativity scenes in Rosewood Park.
Members of the commission and John Moschbarger, I'm sorry, mush my names up. John Moschbarger is here as well, who had brought this to our attention. He's leading a group that's helped setting up a nativity scene or a set of scenes that was set up at the hospital for many years and then was taken down and wasn't put back up on an annual basis in the community. And he came to us back in August and asked for this information. He had also talked with the Park and Rec Board as well. They made a recommendation with a couple bits of information that they requested from John. And John has reached out to us again and presented information about the people that he's contacted, which he had contacted quite a few people in the Rosewood Park edition. And we have had one complaint, had a couple different complaints, but mainly one major complaint about the scene, but most of the rest, I would say 20 to 30 people that John has contacted in the neighborhood have all responded positively or, with nothing with a negative response. John has also provided that information. He also provided a map of where the scenes would go. Danny Krejcia, the park superintendent, myself met him this past week and confirmed the location of where the scenes would go. And that was an approximate location as far as the map is concerned, where the scenes would go. And then John said he would come here tonight as well. And it seems it's worked out well for the group that was putting up the scenes to take care of it before the recent weather moved in. So they were able to move forward. But he did complete the couple additional things that we wanted from the project, and staff has no objection to the scenes being installed in City Park. So John, or I would ask the mayor if you wanted to ask John if he had any additional comments.
Do you have any additional comments? I mean, we've talked it over pretty well, you know, and
Yep.
and the last time you were here, I mean, the feeling of the commission was pretty much there as to, you know, what we wanted to see and how we felt about it. And, you know, you did follow through with the requests that were made, which is appreciated, for sure. If you have anything else you'd like to say about it, please come up to the microphone and share.
See, that's the map there. We did, I did meet with Danny and Kent, and we discussed the location. We did discuss moving scene 1. You kind of see it down there. There's a tree. We've moved that to the other side of that tree, based on a neighbor in that area, and their outlook of the nativity scene. When I was discussing this with them, the plan was to do this after formal approval of this. And we made the decision as a group to go ahead, hoping that it's going to get approved. But it wasn't going to happen, you know, this year. If we looked at the weather after Thanksgiving, there's a good chance this ground could freeze up and make that nearly impossible. And we had our volunteers and we had the weather. So,
Not to mention the 6 inches of snow we're going to get on Friday.
I hope there's a lot of snow this week. So we have put it up, and we will have lights coming. They should be here. I was hoping they'd be here before Thanksgiving. It looks like they're going to arrive next week after Thanksgiving. So we will have them lit with solar lights that that'll really display it throughout the night as well. They'll have timers on them so we can, set a timer if there's neighbors that would rather them not run all night, things like that. So we do have scene 7. There's an angel that goes on top of that. We actually have that one in the shop right now, and we're working on that bracket. But overall, we didn't have to do any touch-up painting. There's some touch-up painting that needs to be done in the future, but they were pretty much 90% ready to go up. We had some brackets to weld, but overall, it was not as big of a undertaking as we initially thought. So it's been a good project.
Yeah, that was a relief, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I did drive by Sunday and take a look at it in the evening, and it does look good, minus the missing top half of the angel.
Yeah, we hope to have that up tomorrow. So,
but yeah, it's good to see it out again. I do think so. All right.
I'll move to approve the setup plan for the nativity scene in Rosewood Park.
Have a motion by Commissioner Redland.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Myers. Any other further discussion? Roll, please.
Redland?
Yes.
Howard?
Yes.
Showalter?
Yes.
Myers?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes. All right. Thank you, John.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, let's move on to discussion items. You have a request to extend utilities to a parcel outside of the city limits. Kent?
Yeah, I've had a request brought up for a property that's on Eustis Avenue, 621 Eustis Avenue, I believe.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Which is Bryce Cole's and Bryce and Jessica Cole's residence. It's being built in that location. When we took a look at in the code, and that was what was included in your packet, the extension services. And it has under section 17105 the conditions of service. If the governing body of the city shall deem it in the best interest of the city and its inhabitants and economically feasible, utility service from the city may be furnished to any tract of real estate situated outside the city corporate limits. The corporate limits of the city is basically the east edge of Eustis Avenue in that block. And then there's a certain list of conditions. So he didn't bring forward a formal request until it came up. Kind of requested through our utility departments, contacted for services to the property. There's a couple different things that are involved with this, and you can widen that out, Josh, a little bit. It's that property right there is where it's being built. But then previously, and this came up a few years ago, obviously, that he built the cul-de-sac that's to the north of there, a couple different blocks up at the northeast corner. To extend, and one of the reasons why this came about is he requested water and electrical service, and it's within our service territory for the electrical, so there's a little bit less leeway for us regarding it. Is that any residence within the city needs to be connected to the sewer system. So that obviously creates a different type of deal if he was to annex into the city. That can be made a condition of extending utility services, is to request an annexation into the city. Doesn't have to be. So that's what the code basically says, is if you do want utility service and you want to stay outside the city, it has to come to the governing body regarding it. And that's why I'm bringing it, and I'm basically bringing it as a discussion item to see what additional discussions need to occur with the property owner. This basically, and then there's the property in between on that. This property and the cul-de-sac to the north, that he currently has a contract with the technical college for their agricultural program. And it's 3 more years on that contract for that property. Obviously that street, concrete street next to that property makes it as a possibility for being developed. And if you can widen that out, Josh, to show the distance. It's basically 1,300 to 1,400 feet between the last sewer line that is in the cul-de-sac on the north to this property on the south.
Yeah, you want to drag it down a little bit there, Josh.
Just no, to the north.
So zoom back out and then drag the whole thing down a little bit.
There you go.
There.
Yeah, that cul-de-sac. I ended up talking with Andrew with EBH some about this as far as the sewer, and also discussed with Neil as far as the sewer, whether it would be feasible to connect, if the property owner would want that, to connect to the sewer that's in between Washington and Eustis, straight west of that property. Bore underneath Eustis to get to his property, which is about 400 feet. Or to come from the north from the cul-de-sac. And based on a couple different things that I discussed with Andrew, which would be preferable as far as how the depth of the sewer mains, and as far as the distance and what it would take to do it. In total volume. Yeah, Andrew brought up, that was a good point as far as the volume. The one to the cul-de-sac to the north connects to basically north of any house that's in town in that section, north of 2nd Street, and then goes west all the way to the lift station. But there's not much volume that ends up in that, along that area. Whereas along Eustis, that is, ends up a route that it ends up on the volume of sewers. That's it. So that gets into details regarding extension of sewer mains. Does that basically cover it, Andrew, or is there something else that's... but there's basically 3 doors that can happen as far as the choices that are involved. One is the governing body, upon a formal request, could approve the extension of utilities while he remains outside the city. The second one is to require annexation as part of receiving city utilities. The third one is it could be a deferred annexation, where it could be he consents to annexation, or both of them do, the property owners. based, and there could be a caveat in there, but at the city's discretion, then they won't oppose any annexation in the future. And the reason that was thought of as, I'm bringing up as a possibility, is because of that property in between. To extend the line from the north, obviously there's no reason to do it currently until they would decide to develop that property. So that would put a hinge on it to go. So, but for any extension utilities, and the property owner did bring up a good point that he can drill, you know, if the city doesn't extend water utilities specifically, and he can put in a leach field, being outside the city, we could end up with a property that has a well and a leach field. And other properties can do the same type of thing, and it happens in a number of communities. If annexations certain things are required regarding annexation. If water is readily available, then you can end up with a situation where certain areas outside the city end up just staying outside the city and not annexing into the city, which we have with a couple neighborhoods that are on the south side of town. Different types of things that way. So it's trying to work this out so that it would be better if they were part of the system overall. It would be better to have the properties in the city. From the staff's point of view, that may not be one way or the other for the commission. But in any event, for the extension of services, it does state that it needs to be an application given to staff, to the city clerk specifically, and then brought within so many days to the commission for their approval. So I'm sure that might bring up a couple questions for you all, or it might bring up something that you need some time to think about before making some sort of decision, or request that an application actually be provided first. And they can make a decision.
I guess one question I have, and I don't know if you have the answer to this tonight or not, but there's several other properties right there in that area, especially along 8th Street, that are outside of the city limits. How are they receiving their utilities? Are they on the system?
There are 3 or 4 properties that are on the system, and they each had decisions made at that time to extend services to them.
So if something, so I guess looking at it from the city commission point of view, or my own personal point of view, you know, one of the benefits of being part of the city is being part of the utilities that the city provides. And, you know, and your taxes that you pay towards the city go towards the upkeep and the repairs and the things necessary for those utilities up to the point of your meter or whatever, you know, to your house. So if we were to allow them to get the utilities from the city and them still be outside of the city and not pay those taxes, are they still reaping the benefits of, if something goes wrong, do we go out and fix it, or are they going to be responsible for the costs that may incur since they're outside of the city? I don't know how things are handled currently with other residents or businesses that are outside of the limits that.
There is some additional cost for being outside the city limits on each of the utilities. It's basically on the meter cost, on the electrical, and then on the water, there's a little bit of additional charge as well for people outside the city limits. But it isn't extravagant by any sort of imagination. And the utilities are supposed to operate independently. You know, even though they do provide, we do a transfer from the utilities to the general fund because general fund employees provide the billing and everything else, and that's why, that's part of the justification for that. But just like, and I mentioned to the property owner that Eustis, we made a concrete street. We spent quite a bit of money on that. Eventually when we have, or even sooner. If something would happen to the street, we have to maintain the street. That's the type of thing that occurs with property taxes and being part of the city, in addition to all the other things that the city provides with building inspection, code enforcement, with parks, with transportation. There's a number of things that being part of the city, just like you mentioned, provides. And that people, if they're going to be part of the utility system, should probably be part of the city. But it is that situation where you want to have them be part of the city, but you don't want to make it so onerous or so problematic that they go ahead and set up something less than a half-mile from the city as a subdivision. That doesn't benefit the city, because then they end up using the same, quite a bit of the same services, but then they're not paying into it, and there's a free rider situation. Colby has a couple neighborhoods like that. There's a number of other communities that get into that situation where you end up with little pockets of neighborhoods that are outside the city.
Yeah, because I'm not real sure how I feel about it, honestly. I mean, it would be nice for them to just be annexed in the city if they wish to receive city utilities. But at the same time, they can look out their door and see their neighbors who receive the same benefits and then did not have to be annexed into the city. So is it a situation where we would be better off looking at annexing
A
larger area
setting. Yeah, maybe.
rather than just nitpicking one place over another? Would it be a situation where we'd be better off just making a firm ordinance policy to just kind of cover it's this way or not regarding things on the edge of the city, rather than take things up on a case by case kind of a basis? I just think it kind of brings up larger, more difficult questions other than just, do we want to allow this one person to have utilities?
And that was the main reason to bring it up as a discussion item, is, yes, it's about this one property, but it's more about a general policy. And the other things on 8th have been there for a number of years, if not decades. So it was quite a long time ago when they first became connected to the utility services.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, aren't the houses across the street from the airport, there's like a pocket that's in the city and a pocket that's in the county, and it almost just kind of goes, it's like a patchwork out there that.
The front of those houses are in the city, but back half of those yards are in the county.
We have some that are on city utilities and some that are on their own utilities out there. They're all city.
Any other thoughts or questions?
I feel like if we're looking to widen the city, that we need to have a bigger plan in place. Like you say, not a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, because it gets complicated. Or if we, if we allow a policy where up to so far outside of the city, you're allowed to get utilities without being annexed in. But if if the city grows around that area, then at what point, all of a sudden that amount that you said was okay is being encased by other growth, and that kind of changes. So that's, not a real easy black and white question.
It's not a black and white question. The leverage point that the city has is when the property owner is requesting utilities. Because once they have utilities, there really isn't any incentive to become part of the city. Because I have what I need. There's what else all I get is, you know, a little bit higher property tax bill. I can enjoy the benefit without, you know, so the utilities become the leverage point. And that's why the question comes up, and that's why they have put it in the city code that when an extension happens out, if there's a request for outside the city limits, that's why it's in city code to come here to the city commission.
This whole property there that Cole's owned, that I think when the cul-de-sac up on Second Street was added in and annexed in, they should have annexed that whole section into the city limits at that time. Just for future expansion, that way it would have been done and over with. And there's other areas around the city that needs to be done the same way.
Yeah. And I don't remember the circumstances of that particular spot, if they, you know, were not willing to expand there, if it was gonna be more than that, or, I mean, I don't know, it would all be speculation, but, I mean, there obviously was agreement at one point in time for annexation for that section on the north side. Do you know, have they given a feeling one way or another about how they feel about this particular, just their home property and the annexation of that?
I think from the tree row that you can see going north and up and down on the screen, from there west to Eustis, I think that would be much more likely than anything east of on the circle pivot.
Right.
Or the half circle.
Yeah, and I mean, I think for the city's benefit, that would be great, but just for this one property, the 621 Eustis.
As far as
About just annexing the one little section further.
Oh, one little section. These would prefer not to.
Yeah.
And there already is service to the barn or the shed that the college uses, which is on the back half of that, or the east side of that property. So that was a more recent thing, but it's more because of the college and that type of thing. So
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think, like, you know, my initial thought is it would be nice to see it annexed in if we're going to provide the utilities. But at the same time, that also brings up a lot of other questions about other things going on in the area. So how's that about being completely non-committal?
I was going to ask if there's any specific staff direction at this point, or if this is about as far as we go tonight.
Well, I'm gonna guess by the resounding silence that that's probably about as far as we go tonight, but this will give everybody a chance to kind of think on it, know that it's an issue that we need to probably be needing to come with a decision on. But.
Okay.
And maybe we can get like the property owners here to ask them some questions personally.
That would be good. I probably would ask the property owner to make a formal request or a formal application for services, and then have a little bit more discussion with them, and then ask them to be here. Yes.
That would be good if they'd be willing. Okay. Okay, let's move on to the next item, the NRP renewal for 2023.
The Neighborhood Revitalization Plan and Interlocal Agreement is up for renewal. The current plan ends December 31st, 2023. The county clerk, Ashley Manis, asked if we would want any changes. Uh, This has been an interlocal agreement that's worked well, and it works well and it's not that many properties that get involved with it, but the ones that do, it is important to help the development occur. So, ask you if there's any changes that would be requested by the commission, and communicate to them, and then we'll move forward with the actual renewal document in December.
I think it still reads fine the way it is.
Yep. Not broke, don't fix it.
Consensus is to just go ahead and move forward with the way it is.
Okay. And it'll be for 24, 25, and 26. Be 3 more years, and then it'll be up for renewal again. So.
All right, great. Okay, next item on discussion. It's not on the big list, but I added it on. The daycare. We had discussion last meeting about if the city would be willing or have anything they could provide towards the nonprofit daycare facility, and the board looking to build facilities here in the city. I didn't know if anybody had any opinions or thoughts on that.
Giving them,
As far as, they were asking if we had a piece of property we want to give, or any other way that we could help. If they may have a chance to think that over and come up with what they thought would be the city's best plan of action regarding their request. I guess my own personal thoughts is I don't know that we have a good piece of property that'd be a good fit for what they're requesting. Part of that is they have a lot of money to spend, but they're still kind of in the infancy of what they are, and so kind of figuring it out. And I know that they need an address to be able to utilize some of these funds, but I just don't know that any city property is a good fit for that. That's my own personal thoughts. I do think, if they were to find a place and they needed help with utilities or something set up, maybe that'd be a better fit for us to help out with that. But that's where I sit on it.
I guess I'd be open to see what they would say, what properties that we do have available, what they would see is fit for them, getting their opinion.
Yeah. And I think they had, we had the list of properties last meeting that we had available. And for what they're wanting and what we had, we have a couple properties kind of over by, or a lot over by Topside Manor, which is, there isn't any utilities and stuff directly there, but they'd be close by. Another place would be a couple properties over by West School that we still have. And as far as what I saw, those would kind of be probably the 2 best options for what they're wanting as far as what the city has available. Again, that was just my opinion.
that seems to be the area that they're looking for too. But are they big enough, if that was the case?
Those properties are, plenty big for what they're looking for now.
Mhm.
Not taking into consideration any future growth they may end up having. But
I received information today, but it's secondhand information that there might be a different opportunity with the current structure, but it's very limited information and it's secondhand, so I
Yeah.
don't go any further than that.
It would be great to give them property and everything, would benefit, but So I'll have to think about it.
So I feel like a lot of silence means we're all kind of non-committal at this point
Right.
regarding anything.
Another thing to take into consideration would be what they're zoned as, and depending on how many kids they have. 1 through 12 is permitted in residential, anything over that is a commercial daycare, would have to be conditional use to do that route.
They have a chance to review those properties and see something on the list that was one that they picked out that they thought would work for their needs.
I mean, I think that was more for our benefit, for us to think if we had something that we thought we'd be willing to let them use. I mean, I don't know if things have changed since the last time we met, but I know it seemed like they were at a point where if they had a piece of property, they would figure out any way they could to make it work, so wherever their needs are.
Mhm. I guess that'd be something I would say is we should supply them the list and at least just hear them out. They have to say, like, properties that they think that they can utilize. That's my opinion.
Are those the two properties that we're interested in potentially having them look at, or?
Again, that was just my own personal conclusions. That's not discussed with anybody else, or if that's just my own personal feelings when I was looking over the list of what we had, but.
I don't know that there'd be any harm in letting them take a look at the list and say, is there something on this list that you think fits your needs? If there is, maybe we can have further discussion about whether giving you property is something that we're interested in, or utility help. If you purchase, there could be a number of different ways that goes, but maybe have them look and see if there's anything that even fits their needs, and we might be having a discussion all for naught if they say nothing on that list is anything that's going to work for them. So
Right.
Agree.
Sounds good.
Okay, feels like there is at least a consensus for that. So I guess if we can get Donna a list of what's available, and if they wish to reach back out with further questions or discussions with us regarding those,
Will do.
we will happily have them.
Okay.
Okay, well, let's move on to reports, starting with our city manager, Kent.
And included in your packets is the manager memo as well as the police monthly activity report for October. There was also brought up at last meeting a request regarding a lockbox program presented by the Sherman County EMS. In discussions with City Attorney Kling and myself, basically that project itself, even though our police might be involved, it's more the legal part of it needs to be done on the county side, since it's primarily for the EMS. And so as far as the lockbox program themselves, as far as the legal ramifications for it, they need to work through that and get that accomplished with that. I don't know, Jake, if you have any other comments regarding that.
No, Brett and I have kind of talked about that, and he kind of agreed with me. There's a lot of logistics they've got to figure out first. And nobody's trying to poo-poo on the idea. I think it's a good program. I think there are a lot of things that they need to work through though before they get to where they're at.
To the implementation part, yeah.
Yeah. Completely fine. It's not a big deal, but
Yeah.
from our end of it, it really is. It's not our department. It's not our, the city has no part of EMS. They house it in our building. That's about it. So that's why from my end, we always have to start really from the ground floor up.
Perfect.
The standpipe, the roof project for the standpipe water tower in Memory Park has started. The roof's on the ground at this point, so that's not the best location for it, but it's the best location to work on it.
Yeah.
And get it prepared to be able to go up on the standpipe. They have their stuff there at this point, but did they give any additional communication to you, Neil? Regarding next week?
Crane here to, they'll be here to paint it and then hoist it.
Okay. So this week, there won't be anything further done with it, but then it'll get completed next week, and it'll be done.
Just looking at the weather forecast, they're probably gonna wish they were doing it on time. Instead of behind a couple weeks, but.
Yes, they probably will be wishing that they did our project first and the one in Texas.
Mhm.
That flipped it around because
Oversight, it's fine.
they were over in Texas before they came here, so. The other thing is we had something come up, or was a possibility, it will start being discussed as far as for the technical college to use the leased property south of the Holiday Inn, as far as the paved area that's in that location that's currently being leased by Roadway Express. And even though Yellow Corporation, which is the overall corporation over Roadway and Roadway Express, has filed for bankruptcy, they have not violated the terms of the lease. So the county attorney, and then discussions with the city attorney, gave a response back that any type of MOU that will allow the college to use the property, the college will need to contact some representative from Yellow Corporation in order to gain permission to use the property. So then we can move forward. We have not had any luck communicating they're taking care of 5,434 things before this option, but that's where we'll have to go at this point. So setting up a MOU between the college, the county, and the city, since the city and county both own the property. I don't know how that came about either, where both ended up named as owners of the property. That can't proceed at this point. So just wanted to make you aware of that. Another thing is Community Matters Incorporated that we had contracted with to start talking about different issues regarding housing, and specifically anything in the city code regarding housing. They have completed the interviews with both the planning commissioners and the city commissioners. Each of you, I think, confirmed to have spoken with some member of Community Matters.
Mhm.
They will provide a summary report, should be within the next week and a half. We'll forward that to you when that comes in. The next thing we're going to be looking forward is to set up a joint meeting with the Planning Commission in January. Probably ask you what days would work well for you in January. And that may be a little far out for some of you folks. We can bring it up at the next meeting for a specific date, but obviously look towards, in January, our 2 commission meetings are on Tuesdays because of holidays. Since New Year's is on a Monday, we're going to end up with a meeting on the 2nd and on the 16th of January. Or, yes, 2nd and 16th of January 24. So the other Mondays might work. We have an extra Monday in January, which always seems to happen. We end up with a special meeting on that
Yeah,
5th Monday.
gotta fill up that time with something.
And we'll have to work with the planning commissioners as well, because we want both involved, and the chairman of the planning commission is here as well, so.
And their meeting is typically the second Tuesday of the month? Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, why don't we just do it on the second Tuesday of the month?
Hopefully they'll have other items to discuss on their agenda. I mean, I suppose we could squeeze it in there.
That could probably work, I don't know. Okay.
So we're gonna look into that, maybe see if that works for everybody. Looks like it'll work. Take a gander.
Second Tuesday.
January 9th.
So far, nothing.
Well, unless there's a Christmas party or something that night, I think I'm open.
Okay. And that's all I have. Kenton, you talked to me today. Did you want to give an update on your loader situation to the commission?
I could.
The loader, as of right now, for the shop, it is being delivered to Colby Wednesday, and he did call with a slight delay. It kind of wasn't positive what happened to the loader that we were supposed to be getting. This loader came across and it didn't come with the Will Wells beacon and heated mirrors on it. So he just more or less asked if we'd still accept this one, which I said wouldn't be a problem because he is ordering those, and once they're here he'll send a mechanic up to throw them on. So, but he says next Thursday, not this Thursday, but it should be here at our shop. So
Very nice.
that's what's going on now.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's all I have, unless I don't think I have enough information on the one other item with the sheriff's department that will come up, but may require us to do something, but, yeah, that's all I have at this point.
Are you sure?
No,
I wanna catch you
that's
short.
okay.
Anybody have any questions for our city manager? No? All right, thank you. All right, move on to commissioner reports. Start down here on my right, Commissioner Showalter.
I just wanted to be clear about my thoughts on the daycare situation. I guess when we talk about, whether or not to give property to, even a nonprofit organization, I just make sure that, we all know that childcare has been something that we have targeted on our strategic planning issues. It's something that the community has pointed out has been an issue for us. That's the only reason I think I would consider, donating whole parcels of land to organizations to build on. That's something that the community has identified as an issue, and I don't know that we ever want to get in the business of just giving out land all the time to people, but I just want to be clear that that is why I'm considering that.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Myers.
I just wanted to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, and if you have to leave Goodland, safe travels.
All right, Commissioner Howard.
Nothing really, just like to thank everybody for all that they do in all the departments, even in the city office. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Redlin.
Nothing to report.
Okay, and for mayor report, I have nothing more to add. And with that, I will make a motion to move into executive session under the authority of KSA 75-4319B1 for personnel matters for non-elected personnel. I would like the 5 commissioners and the city manager for a period of, start with 10 minutes.
I'll second.
Have a second by Commissioner Redlin. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, let's call this meeting back to order. Anybody else have anything they wish to discuss? No, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I have a motion by Commissioner Redland, second by Commissioner
Say it was
Showalter.
louder.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.
Say it loud.